Okay, I understand it's the 8th grade Mrs. Laughlin's class. Is that correct today? You guys are the sponsors for the class? I gave them a heads up that we're going to have some questions. I'm going to need a couple volunteers. They all kind of were like, yeah, I'm not sure if we're doing this class. I think the mass is someone else. But no, they stepped up. They were willing to go ahead and help us out. So I'm going to start off with a question for our 8th graders. And the question is, what do you see in the church today that's out of the ordinary? What do you see in the church today that's out of the ordinary? Let's see right over here. I got my microphone here, so you can go ahead and answer through the microphone. What do you see that's out of the ordinary today?
There's something that is covered by a cloth.
There is something that is covered by a cloth. That is the correct answer. Round of applause for our volunteer here. Yes, correct answer. Who would like to hear a story about what this something is that's covered by a cloth? Anyone want to hear the story around this? Show of hands. There's a lot of people that don't want to hear this story. A lot of people don't. One more chance. You want to hear a story about what's behind this cloth right here? Show of hands. What's up with this class over here? What grade is this over here? Jamie, what grade is that? 7th grade. Trouble. 7th grade. Trouble, most definitely. I'm going to have you hold on to this. Well, I'm going to tell you the story anyway, 7th grade, even though you didn't want to hear it. Unfortunately, this story starts off sad. It starts off with the death of my dad in February of this year. And when my dad died, my mom needed some help with taking care of all the things around the house. And one thing she needed help with was helping selling my dad's car, since my mom never had a driver's license. If you can believe that, never had a driver's license. Perfect driving record, my mom, perfect driving record. But she needed help selling his car. So I'm like, yeah, Mom, I'll help you out with that. So we sold the car, and she wanted to do something for myself and for all my siblings. I'm one of 8 children, something nice for us. And now she had this newfound money from selling Dad's car. And she wanted to give each of us $100. $100. What do you guys think about that? Is it not good, $100? Show of hands now if you'd like $100. Yeah, now everybody raises their hand. Amazing. They raise their hand now, $100. So I'm like, Mom, you keep the money. Your fixed income, I don't really need the money. I'd like you to keep it. She insisted. She said, Paul, I want you to have this $100. So my mom has a particular devotion to Mary. So I thought, let's do something along those lines. And my mom also had all these statues of Mary. She even had statues of Mary out in her backyard. And I'm like, Mom, I'm going to take that $100 and I'm going to buy a statue of Mary for my garden. And she loved that idea, of course. So what did I do? A few days later, I went to Marytown by University of St. Mary of the Lake in Mundelein. They got an awesome gift shop there. Tons of things, everything you could imagine religious-wise, they've got it there. I go to the store. What did they not have? They did not have a statue of Mary for my garden. In the pandemic, everybody's making their outside, their yards really beautiful. Apparently, everybody wanted a Mary statue. They normally had them lined up in the hallway, but there was no Mary statues there. So the best I could do was to give them my phone number and my name and say, when you do get a Mary statue in, give me a call. Days go by. Weeks go by. Months go by. In the meantime, my mom dies. This is July of this year. She never got to see that Mary statue that I wanted to get for my garden. But on the day that she died, my phone rings. It's Marytown. The statue has arrived. It's a statue of Our Lady of Grace. And I'm like, wow. Is this just a coincidence that this statue arrives on the day that my mom dies? I don't think so. So the next day, I go to Marytown. What do I see? One statue of Mary, covered in a sheet, just like you see right here. They wanted to keep it covered because they only had one statue of Mary. They didn't want someone else to come in and buy it when I had requested that they hold it for me. So my two volunteers, let's see what we have beneath our sheet. This is it. The statue of Mary for my garden, for my mom. What do you guys think? Pretty awesome? Round of applause for the statue of Mary, right? Awesome. And if the story ended there, I would be completely fine with that. But that's not the end of the story. You know, I told you this is a statue. They told me it's a statue of Our Lady of Grace. Now, I've heard of a lot of Our Ladies. I've heard of Our Lady of the Wayside. I've heard of Our Lady of Fatima. I've heard of Our Lady of Good Hope from Wisconsin. I've heard of Our Lady of Guadalupe, but I never heard of this Our Lady of Grace. Who was she? 8th grade? Microphone? 8th grader, second question. What do you do when you don't know something? What do you do, 8th graders? You already gave me an answer. What do you do when you don't know something? Right here. Go ahead and answer the microphone.
Research it.
You research it? And what's like the number one place to go research something?
Google.
Google. You Google it. Absolutely. And that's what I did. I put Our Lady of Grace into Google. And what did I come up with? Not particularly much of anything. I really couldn't identify the source of this image of Mary that I got from my mom for my garden. So I did a little more research. And my research actually took me to my bedroom where I have this little tiny statue of Mary. Can anybody see this little tiny statue of Mary? My 8th graders, can you see that? What does it look like? What does this little statue look like? It looks like this statue right here, right? Who's a good sleuth? Who's got good eyes in 8th grade? What do you see on this statue? Give me a clue. There's a clue. It's under Mary's feet. I'll give you a hint. Grab that. What do you see under her feet? Good eyes. What do you see? 1830. 1830. What could that be? A year, right? A year. So I put in Our Lady of Grace, I put in the year 1830, and guess what came up? St. Catherine Labouré. St. Catherine Labouré, who had a personal encounter with Mary, who saw Mary and who received instructions from Mary to have this image of her made. An image to be placed on a medal from which millions have been made and distributed throughout the world. That's Our Lady of Grace from St. Catherine Labouré. I've got a volunteer from 4th grade because there's something really unique that happened to St. Catherine Labouré when she was 9 years old. And I thought it'd be good to get a 9-year-old volunteer to tell us a little bit more about what happened to St. Catherine Labouré when she was 9.
At the age of 9, her mother died, and in her sorrow, St. Catherine turned to the only other mother she knew. Standing on her tiptoes to see the statue of the Blessed Virgin Mary in her home, St. Catherine tearfully said, "Now, dear Blessed Mother, you will be my mother."
My dear Blessed Mother, you will be my mother now. St. Catherine Labouré and I shared this particular unique experience, losing our mothers and having a statue remind us of something, not just of our mother, but of our Heavenly Mother. What do we hear about in our gospel reading today? We hear about Jesus on the cross. We hear about him telling his mother, "Woman, behold your son." And we hear him telling the apostle who he loved, John, behold your mother. Jesus is not just giving Mary to the Apostle John. Jesus is giving Mary to all of us. She is our mother. She is my mother. She is your mother. She is all of our mothers. And what do? As children, sons and daughters of Mary, what did the Apostle John do? We heard about in our gospel reading, 8th grade. Last and final question. What did the Apostle John do? You guys remember the gospel reading? It was only a couple sentences long. Anybody else want to take a guess what John did when he got these words from Mary? There's somebody way back there. If I walk back, right here, this guy thinks he might know. What did the Apostle John do after Jesus told him, behold your mother?
I think he was forgiving.
What was that? One more time.
He was forgiving.
He was forgiving? Not exactly. Anybody else want to guess? Maybe a teacher? Was a teacher paying attention? Right here, an 8th grader, they want to redeem themselves. What did the Apostle John do?
I think the Apostle John took Mary into his home.
He took Mary into his home. Yes, round of applause for our 8th grader again. Mary's our mother. We are her children, but we're called to take her into our home. Just like I took Mary into my home with this statue. So my challenge to you students is to ask yourself, how is Mary present in our home? Do we have a statue of Mary? Do we have a picture of Mary? Do I wear the miraculous medal? Do I have a cord of Mary on my wrist? Do I wear a scapular of Mary? Whatever it is, you need to find a way to bring Mary into your home. You're her son and daughter. She's your mother. And we see the truth that she's all of our mother in this beautiful example and gift from my mom, and the gift truly from God. Amen? Amen. God bless you guys.